Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live at the Waterhole here at WildEarth. My name is Amy, and I will be with you for the first half of the show today. We are starting off with some beautiful Ellies drinking here at Jamala, and it is looking like quite a nice and sunny day with the sun shining here and these elephants enjoying a drink at the waterhole. Those of you who are new to the show or perhaps don't know, this is a live and interactive show. So please do send through your comments and your questions wherever you are watching from. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know who you are, where you're from, what you're hoping to see today, and as well as any questions you may have. Always leads to some interesting discussions over the next few hours that we're together. Skies being very clear. Look how blue that water's looking with the clouds overhead and the beautiful reflection. All right. Well, speaking of clear skies, let's go have a look at what the weather is doing across our locations. Well, it is indeed warm weather for the most part all around. Here at Madikwe, reaching a high of 37 degrees. That'll probably be a little bit later on today. That max temperature, we're probably sitting at about 32 or 34 degrees Celsius at the moment, but still very warm and definitely warm enough for these Ellies to already be drinking some water. Shortly, I'm sure we'll see one or two start to mud wallow. I always love to sometimes just sit and watch the interactions here of these Ellies. It's always fascinating. We can learn so much from these animals. We have a beautiful view of a young one drinking here. Hi, Lenny. You say that you are from New Jersey. I believe that is in the United States, up in the area around New York, New Jersey. I am hosting you from the Lowveld area around a small town called Hoedspruit. So, very much within a bush area, one of the bushy areas of South Africa. Plenty of reserves and national parks around here. there's been a bit of cooler weather where I am at the moment, which has been a welcomed relief. But it is starting to warm up again. I think tomorrow we're going to get a high of about 35 again. But today there's a bit of a breeze. It's a little bit overcast. There was a slight bit of drizzle last night, but the sun was starting to shine and it was getting very, very warm, humid again. But I think to another storm that's on its way. That is such a fascinating thing, isn't it? A few days ago, one or two viewers were telling me that where they're watching from is only 6 degrees Celsius and it's windy and snowy and raining. So it's amazing how it can be so opposite depending where we are in the world. If anyone would like some sunshine, they are welcome to take some. Hello, Helen. You say hello from a sunny but very rain saturated UK. And hello, Helen. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're able to join us today. Yes, I believe that it has been quite rainy within the UK area, but I'm glad that the sun is shining. Although sometimes it can be deceiving, although the sun's out, you open the front door and it is still very, very chilly outside. Hi, Picasso. You are asking if it's just you or some of the returning migratory birds later this year by a month or so. Picasso, there's some species that are very much been on time. I think personally that the woodland kingfishers have come a month or so later. Usually, we usually hear them calling already in November, but I think I only really heard the very first one right at the beginning or very, very end of November. Um, which is later than usual. The other bird, which I haven't actually seen yet this season, is a European roller, believe it or not. Um, and the times that I've been out and in the reserves and around the parks, I'm yet to see one. A friend did tell me they did see one on their way to the Kruger National Park. But it was just one and it was quite brief. Whereas usually by this time, I mean, the European rollers are the one species that usually actually comes quite early in the year. But I think perhaps they just haven't arrived properly in this particular area, although I'm sure there are many to be seen elsewhere. Well, the mud splashing, I think, is about to begin, everybody. Some are already having a good little swim there. Oh,
Africam's YouTube channel delivers daily doses of enchanting wildlife moments. Experience highlights captured live from our cameras to stay informed about the wildlife action. Dive into the immersive world of Africam's YouTube membership community. Engage in live chats, express yourself with custom emojis and badges, and unlock exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Subscribe to Africam's YouTube channel today and become part of a wildlife-loving community.
TK Matt, you're saying good morning from a sunny but chilly Sussex in the UK. Hello, and thank you for joining us. You want to know, is it possible to determine where the elephants have traveled from based on the dust color, for example, the rusty ones on Jamala? So, Matt, I think there is definitely the color of the elephants determines what sort of area they have been in. And I've never guided on Madikwe myself, but I know that as a guide, you do get familiar with certain areas that have certain soil colors. And so, based on that, yes, definitely, I think there would be an indication of certain areas that these elephants would have been in. However, should Madikwe's entire soil for most of the reserve be quite a rusty color, as we move further and further away from the waterhole, then of course, then it would be a little bit impossible to say for sure where they've been. But we can actually see, even as we look around the waterhole, in between the trees, as we move further away, the soil does change color, from the mud, which we see close around the waterhole, and then the soil color as more of the sand and topsoil appears. So we get that more rusty color coming through. And there's obviously quite a bit of iron ore deposit within the rocks that have broken down to form the soils here. And that's the dust that these elephants are putting on their backs. There, of course, are maybe more redder spots than others, but Matt, it's definitely a way that, yeah, in areas where there's quite a variety of different soil colors and types of soils. So then we can definitely see, oh, well, that elephant's been in that area today because it's looking a certain shade of brown. one group move off, arrive very quick in their Italy to take spot at the drinking place. Oh, there are some buffaloes, everyone. That's exciting. I was hoping to see some buffalo today. It's always nice to see some of the big bulls come down for a drink and a mud wallow. Wow, look at his horns. Those are super impressive.
Are you in search of a unique, unforgettable adventure in the wild? Imagine living with the animals you see on TV while getting an inside look at how a live safari TV show operates. We're thrilled to offer this experience through our 7, 14 and 28-day EcoCam experiences. To book your spot, visit wildearth.tv/EcoCam. Come and join us for the bush experience of a lifetime.
Well, I find myself really enjoying watching these buffaloes here drinking. They seem to be moving off a little bit. I thought maybe we would see them sit down in the mud, but it may still happen. And these look like three bulls that have formed a bachelor herd of their own. Not too phased by the squealing elephants. Now perhaps gonna head off and find a place to sit in the shade and ruminate. Maybe even start grazing some of the fresh green grass that is around. Some interesting dynamics here between these elephants. Someone's not happy. Speaking of elephants, Scarlet, you want to know if we can tell when an elephant is ready to wander off and die. Sure, Scarlett. I'm going to speak from experience here. There's been, I think, 3 times that I've seen an elephant that was really looking like it was going to die very soon. There was one particular bull within the Kruger Park that we came across on a drive with my family, and he was huge, extremely tall. I'd never seen an elephant so big. He was quite close to the road, but you could see that he was skinny, and his head almost looked too big for his body. And you could see he was sort of very lethargic in his motion, very relaxed and calm, but just looked, his eyes were watering a bit. His temples were heavily sunken in on the side of his head. You could see actually his ribs on his side, and his backbone was sticking out even more than normal. And he had lost a lot of weight on his side. So even though his skeleton was big, um, you could see that he had lost a lot of body mass with regards to fat storage and muscle. And so it was a very sad feeling, I must say. Oh, excuse me, everyone. I just needed to sneeze. Um, and it was, you got this eerie feeling watching him that in not a very long time he was going to die. Um, it was a feeling that I can't describe to you other than just the sense of knowing that it was the end of an animal's life. And Scarlett, what we see happening is that because elephants have a limited amount of teeth in their life, sets of teeth in their life, there's six sets, and on the occasion, rarely some may have a seventh that comes through. And basically, what happens is when that last set of molars wears down and no longer is able to break up and chew their food, um, we see the elephant no longer being able to absorb its nutrition. Now, on a good day, you would only have an elephant absorbing about between 40 and 60% nutrition of what they eat. That's why they need to eat so much. And even sometimes in their dung, you can see whole leaves, pieces of bark, and things like that because it hasn't been fully digested. Which is great because it provides other food and habitats for other insects and animals. But for the elephant itself, it means that as they get older, so they lose body condition. And that particular bull elephant, I don't think it would have been a few weeks that he would have stayed alive. And then eventually, when they do die of natural causes, they normally just sit down. And I've actually seen an elephant that's died naturally. We were busy, we went out on a bushwalk, and there was a known elephant carcass that wasn't too old. And we were actually able to go up to it and have a look at it close up, this bull that had died. And they just sit down on their front and back legs, with their head, their chin down on the ground and their trunk out. And it was absolutely fascinating and a real eye opener for me personally to see something like that. So to answer your question, Scarlett, I know that was quite a long-winded way of explaining, but you can tell, I think, that there's definitely a sense of, okay, this bull is now, first of all, they're on their own, so not really in a bachelor herd or anything like that anymore. They're usually within sometimes quite thick areas, and you just get that sense from the animal that it's their time is coming. Picasso, hello, and thank you so much for joining us again today. You're wanting to know, well, you're saying that now and then you see buffalo lying very much on their side. Do they have compressed inner organs? Oof. Picasso, not that I'm aware of. They have a body cavity similar to even these elephants within that rib cage that um, sort of their central trunk area holds their organs. I think for animals like buffalo, it's just comfortable to be on their side. They often lie and put that weight on the one side. Even lions do the same thing. They don't always lie flat on their bellies. I think particularly if they've eaten a lot, perhaps their stomach's expanded, it's putting a bit of pressure on the other organs. And so lying on the side allows that pressure to be relieved a little bit. So, yes, it is. It's an interesting thought, though, Picasso. Thanks for sending that question through. This little herd of Ellies are enjoying this water so much. With the way things go, Jamala, they've got to take it while the going is good. Just now, there'll be another feisty young male coming in to chase them all away. So we'll have to see what happens here. Sanjeev, hello. You are wanting to know if you are correct in assuming that female elephants hardly fight. Yes, Sanjeev, I think that it would be safe to say that female elephants rarely fight with each other. Most of the time within that family herd that they're with, generally for their whole lives. There's not too much fighting that goes on, not in the same way that the male bulls would have a very serious fight for mating rights. The females, they may get a little bit irritated with one another or something like that, but there wouldn't really be any intention to kill or purposefully harm each other between the female Sanjeev.
This immersive program will give you an in-depth understanding of the African bush in as little as 7 days. You'll be guided by expert trainers who will lead you through the various ecosystems of Africa and teach you essential bush skills. Join Eco Training's 7 or 14-day EcoQuest course and you will receive 500 Rand off whether you sign up locally or internationally using this promo code. Further your journey as a true bush enthusiast today.
Well, this little group is still very much enjoying the water here, everyone. I'm not sure what else or where the others are. Perhaps some have moved off already. Some may be starting to mud wallow a bit. But TK Matt, you are asking a very interesting question. Thanks for sending it through. You want to know how long it would take for a large elephant carcass to completely break down? And will the seeds in the stomach cavity germinate, leaving a living memorial? Oh, that is a nice thought, isn't it? To think that seeds within the stomach may actually go into the ground and a tree will grow where the elephant died. Look, TK, that is very possible because they do sometimes completely, sometimes we find whole marula fruits in their dung which haven't been digested at all. And so that could very well germinate and a plant could grow. But likely not, just because there's many creatures and little insects and invertebrates that would come and munch on that. Lots of birds pecking at the dung, and those fruits and things would usually be eaten. But it's possible that a seed may germinate from the dead elephant's stomach matter. Absolutely. In terms of time for that whole carcass, if it wasn't touched by any animals, I think it would take many years for that to completely disappear. However, in the wild, of course, there are plenty of animals who are going to eat away at that carcass. Lions, jackals, hyenas. It'll feed anything and everything that's looking for meat over many weeks. And depending how long it takes or how the density of carnivores or scavengers in that area, you would be looking at, an elephant carcass even being completely divulged and just bones left after a matter of days. Because vultures also play a part in that, and they can very easily pick away and clean off the bones of an elephant carcass very quickly, surprisingly so. The bones themselves are huge. And so you're not going to get something like a hyena being able to carry away the pelvic bone or the skull of an elephant. Those usually are in one place for a very long time. And in fact, it would take 5, 10, 15, 20 years before that something happens to that bone, that it is completely, broken down. But it is possible, and it is a natural organic material that can break down eventually. It's just very hard wearing. So yes, in terms of the fleshy sort of bits of an elephant, the skin, that can be gone extremely quickly, depending on where the elephant has died. But things like bones would take many years to completely disintegrate. There is such a tiny little one here on the left, and just look how it's standing under mom's belly. Well, until mom decided to move. But I think it's enjoying some shade and it's using mom as its own personal umbrella. Hello, Bond. You have asked an interesting question. Thanks for asking it and sending it through. You want to know what is the largest, or sorry, the longest elephant tusk that has ever been recorded. Um, so the longest tusk was 3.5 meters. I'm just gonna see what that is in feet for you. So it's 11.5, 11 and a half feet long. All right, if that helps any of the viewers understand. That is a very long tusk. It's actually the length of basically a small car. The heaviest tusk that's ever been recorded was 120 kgs. Okay, I think that's about 260 pounds or so, 250 pounds. That is the heaviest tusk that has ever been recorded. So, longest 3.5 meters, heaviest 120 kilograms. Tusks are amazing things, and there are some amazing elephants with some amazing tusks. For those of us within South Africa, but also for anyone planning a trip and perhaps wants to visit the world famous Kruger National Park, I would highly suggest incorporating into your visit a visit to the Letaba Rest Camp within the Kruger. And over there is located the Elephant Museum of the Magnificent Seven, the original seven tuskers of the Kruger. And they actually have those tusks there for you to be able to look at. And you can actually see all the information, the different weights, the lengths of the tusks there from these sevens. And they give you a little bit of history about each of the Magnificent Seven that were in the Kruger who have all since died.
Eco Training's professional field guide course can make your dreams a reality. This comprehensive program comprises 5 months of theoretical and practical training in the African bush with highly qualified instructors in multiple locations. Enroll today and receive 5,000 Rand off using the promo code. If you've just finished school or tertiary education and you want to head into the wild, Eco Training's professional field guide course is for you.
One Ellie on the left started to splash itself. I wonder if we'll see any of these elephants who decide to splash themselves go over and have a little bit of a rub today. We haven't seen too many doing that recently. You can hardly see it, but there is a little baby in amongst these three here. Well, actually, two little ones, but the one is a lot smaller than the other. You can just see its head peeping through now. and babies are always right in the middle, protected by all the others. Hello, Kelly. Ooh, you asked a good one. You want to know, what do you do when an elephant comes charging down towards you? Well, the first thing, Kelly, that I would say is, are we on foot or are we in a vehicle? Because they are two very different reactions that one would have in that case. But different. You have the upper hand in terms of being able to quickly drive away. A car can go a lot faster than an elephant can. The other question is, how old is this elephant? If it's one of the younger cheeky bulls or one of the small ones, then there's really no reason to panic about it. That elephant's just uh, either, if it's very small, not really anything to worry about. But if it is a lot larger, then of course we need to reevaluate the situation. Oh my word, Kelly, I'll come back to you now, but have a look at this elephant rubbing its bum there. And then, Kelly, what I would say is that for me, it's always better to be cautious when it comes to elephants. I don't like to risk too much. I'm always very careful with regards to proximity to elephants, with making sure that we respect their personal space. What I would say, Kelly, is if you're on a game drive vehicle, um, the person who's driving you, uh, we trust, has the experience and has the time spent with elephants to understand their behavior. Now, if that elephant, for example, you're in the vehicle, you pull off to the side, the elephant's quite far away from you, you're not in their way or anything like that, then that elephant, they've seen you, and they walk slowly towards the vehicle. Most likely, I mean, they're very calm. They've seen you. They could have walked another way. There was plenty of space, a different path for them to choose. So most likely they'll just walk nicely, beautiful sighting close to the vehicle and walk past you. On the other hand, if we're talking about a must bull, Kelly, and that is a bull who is in a heightened state of testosterone, his penis sheath is dripping urine, and there's a very strong scent that they give off. And those are bulls that we need to be careful of, and often are the ones that would do something silly, well, let's not say silly, would do something that's potentially dangerous to a vehicle. And it's up to us as the guides, and also, for example, if you're self-driving, to be aware of that animal's behavior and reverse and move off or choose a different route. So generally, if an elephant's starting to charge your vehicle, you need to move. There is no point trying to play, um, oh, well, who does this elephant think it is? That elephant has the strength to easily tip over a vehicle. There's plenty of times that has happened. But the more time you spend with these animals, the easier it is to read their behavior. The other big sort of threat is mother elephants with their calves. And if, for example, your vehicle gets in between that mother and the calf, it is something that you need to be very aware of. And caution is key. I think, as people, we can't think that just because we have the upper hand with having a vehicle, that it is our place to just go drive right up an elephant's bum and be super close to them. We need to always respect them and not ask for trouble. Why put yourself in a situation that may irritate an elephant? um, if there's a situation where that elephant is free to approach you, you can have some incredible sightings of an elephant very, very close to the vehicle, relaxed, and everyone can have an amazing experience. And that's happened to me plenty of times. On the other hand, Kelly, let's say on foot and an elephant comes running towards you. Now, that is a completely different scenario. Again, caution is key. It would be best if you are walking on foot to avoid an elephant becoming aware of your presence. And that is done with a lot of time and skill and experience to be able to be qualified to take guests to be able to do that in the bush. And so, Kelly, what we would see there is, first of all, to be able to be aware of your senses all the time, wind direction, those sorts of things within the bush, your cover, what's available to you, and you can have some amazing sightings on foot. Unfortunately, however, when it comes to walking on foot, and if you have an encounter with the elephant, there's a reason that the guide carries a rifle. And on several occasions, that's actually had to be the outcome of a particular encounter. If an elephant's charging down the road towards you, and you as the guide can tell that this is now a serious thing, and that elephant, for whatever reason, you've surprised it surprised you, you weren't aware of each other, and there can be many, many reasons why that may happen. And it's no one's fault at that point. And as a guide, you trust that that person would have taken every possible opportunity to check and make sure. But sometimes these things do happen. And then, of course, if that elephant is getting within about, I would say, 3 meters, a shot must be taken to bring that elephant down. However, that is not the first port of call. If we see an elephant that it becomes aware of our presence, there's a few other things we could do: shouting, raising your hands, clapping, things like that, that may hopefully deter that elephant and push it off. And it often is actually female elephants within a herd that get disturbed or feel threatened because they have a young calf with them. So, Kelly, it's quite a complex answer to quite a simple question. But those are the complexities that we deal with when we have animals, not only elephants, but things like rhino, buffalo as well, that can be potentially dangerous.
Hickory dickory dock, the kids ran to the spot. The clock struck 4, the kids sat down, hickory dickory dock. Our Kids Safaris bring interactive entertainment and learning to the future protectors of our world for 1 hour every weekday during our safari drives. Watch it live on your nearest device. Don't miss out on the fun. WildEarth, it's in your nature.
Well, I do hope these zebras now get down to the water. Although I must say it's very entertaining to watch an elephant and chase them off, but they're persistent. They almost like, oh yeah, we've been through this before. It does seem they're a bit more successful now, and they seem to be walking down to the water. It's always a beautiful scene to see zebras drinking together. Hi, honey badger. Yes, I was actually going to mention that. I was seeing how all of a sudden we heard a lot of it. It is a speckled pigeon, honey badger. They are found here at Madikwe, and they've got that. And actually, when I first heard it, when we first came to Madikwe, I thought it was a purple crested Tarako. Or one of the Tarako family, but of course they don't occur. They need more forest habitat, which is not what we find around Madikwe. And then I was like, oh, but it does sound like a dove, doesn't it? And then it took a minute, and I realized it was a speckled pigeon. We don't actually hear speckled pigeons or see them very often at all in the Lowveld. They nest in more rocky areas. They're also around a lot of the cities and towns, but for the greater Kruger, there's very specific areas that they occur naturally. So it took a second for me to figure it out, but yeah, the speckled pigeon is what we're hearing calling there. And it's funny, one of those things that I when you get into birding and you start learning the different calls, there we go, it's going again. Um, you can hear the tone of this particular call is very dove-like, pigeon and dove-like. Dove and pigeons are exactly the same, just has to do with the size in terms of family. So pigeons are the larger doves, but there's no actual distinction between them. Oh my word, those three Ellies are having a great time. But just when you hear that call, it sounds, here it comes. It sounds like it's part of the dove family, that cooing noise that we hear. Oh my word, that was absolutely hilarious. That little one is slipping and sliding all over the show. Well, if anyone needed a smile put on their face today, we have the absolute pleasure of providing you that baby elephant slipping there to make you laugh.
It's a festive Wilderland. Come along as we go in search for various festive wild animals for the 12 days of Christmas. From honking geese and roaring lions to hooting owls and leaping leopards. Tune in on your nearest device and join the festive fun. Watch the live show from the 14th to the 25th of December. Don't miss out. Embrace the festive season with WildEarth.
Well, these ellies are now getting a little bit noisy. Oh my word, that is such a tiny one on the left. Every time I think I will never see a smaller baby elephant, one appears. And there's some on the right that are having a marvelous time in the water. Absolutely, elephants splashing and swimming. SI, you have asked if elephants have a particular breeding season or do they breed at any time of the year? And SI, yes, they can breed at any time of the year. So we see babies all year long. They don't have a particular breeding season. Although generally the statistics show that more babies are uh, born, apologies, more babies are born throughout the summertime. And that's really to do with coinciding with food availability. For elephants, it is, they survive all year, they adapt their feeding habits depending on whether it's summer or winter. But we can see some babies here now, but we can see some bigger calves who would have been little, very small babies around June, July, or from May this year, which is the winter time. So, SI, there's no set breeding season for elephants. All right. Well, just a reminder to all our viewers, we're coming up to the 1 o'clock mark here in the afternoon, in according to Central African time, and that means that we are going to be joined by Africam, which is fantastic. So, just so that everyone is aware, that's going to happen in a few minutes. We are going to reintroduce the show and add a few more locations to our feed, which is always exciting. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, just be aware that you'll need to change over to either the website or the WildEarth app to continue watching. Otherwise, if you're in South Africa, you can watch on DSTV channel 183, or otherwise, if you are in the UK, you can do so on Freeview. That is a tiny elephant there, just to the left of that green bush. Everyone standing between the two bigger ones. It is really, really small. I don't even think it's drinking yet. It's trying to, but it's just playing with the water. All right, well, let's get ready to welcome Africam.